everybody, it's Kathy Champion and you're back with me in my craft room here at Random Acts of Crafting. Come on in and let's settle in. I'm so excited about today's project. This is, I believe that both of these items are retiring, so I wanted to bring you a card making this in case you're interested in grabbing these products before they're gone. This is the Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss, and these are the die cuts for this embossing plate. And I want to show you exactly how this system works, because when I got this I wasn't sure, so I had to play around with it, and I did. And I'm going to show you one of the cards that I made with it, and we're going to go a little bit different with it this time. I'm going to lay these over here. Here's the two embossing folders that you get, and it makes this beautiful oval impression. And then this one does a square. And I'm going to use the oval again today, and this is the one that I did using that, and you can see the detail. Look at the detail in that embossing. And I foamed it up and I put a piece of designer paper behind it. I loved the way this turned out. I thought it was gorgeous. So this is the same play that I want to take on this card today. So let me show you the die cuts, because you think this is just such a simple shape, and it is, but then is it? These are your embossing, or your die plates that cut, and it cuts that perfect oval for this. As you can see, that sits in there perfectly. It is gorgeous. And then you also have the little rectangle that does the rectangle one. I love these. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I think it's an ingenious way to play on this. So I have a piece of Night of Navy, and I have a designer paper that is the Pressed Petals, which this entire pack of paper is gorgeous. So, and this is not retired, but these embossing folders and the die cuts, these are retiring, because you can buy these in a bundle, and I'll put all the information right here so you can see it. But let's get busy on making this, because I am so excited. The first thing I'm going to do is bring out my trimmer, and we're going to cut this down, and I am going to cut this at 5.5, because I want a card that's going to open from the side to side. So we're going to turn this around, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. So I'm going to move my cut blade up, and then my score blade, we're going to just score it. And look at this. This score is so pretty. It's always nice and crisp. I am going to grab my bone folder, and I'm going to press this down. Just like that. And now we need to cut a piece of Designer Series paper to go on the front of this. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to cut my piece of paper out of this. And I may do that, but I may reinforce it. I'm going to go ahead and cut off a piece of this that's going to measure, let's see, my die cuts are, and I always kind of try to make sure that when I'm using my Designer Series paper, I don't use up any more than what I need for my piece. And with that being said, I'm going to cut this at 4. I'll do 4 1/4. I like to have a little bit of an overhang, so I'm going to cut this at 4 1/4. And we're going to cut it at 5 1/4. I think that'll get the length that we need on this. Yeah. So we'll cut that at 5 1/4. Just like that. And we have this piece that we will take to our die cut machine, and we will cut that out. and that will go over top of our piece that we're going to actually mount on the top. So, and what I may do is cut two pieces like that, one out of the Night of Navy, because that is just a really nice heavy duty cardstock. So let's go. We want to do the impression. And you know what? I have rethought this, and I do not want, I only want the center of this. We can still cut this because I only want the center of that. So we can still use this to cut it. But I want my navy blue to have this. So I am going to take and cut this piece down. And I only need about that much. So let's see. We're going to do this at 4 1/4. And now we're going to take this to our machine and we're going to run this through. You really want this on a solid piece of paper so that you can see that beautiful impression. So I am going to leave that right there, and then I'm going to take and use this piece, and I'm going to cut this and this from this piece here. And I'll probably run these through at the same time. But I want to position this over here so that I make sure that I'm getting some of those blue flowers, because I really want that blue to pop. So let me go to my die machine and get those pieces cut, and we'll be right back. Okay everybody, I'm back, and this is what I have. I have the card base that we did earlier. I did cut out 2 of these frames that I embossed, and what I did is I looked at them to decide which one I liked the best for the front, and it was this one. Look at that detail. Is that not gorgeous? And I have this centerpiece that I cut, but looking at this piece of designer paper, now if we put this on here and this over it, this would not work unless we turned it over, and we have this beautiful script on this pink. Is that not pretty? But what I decided to do is I decided to turn this over and have this as my mat. This is the good thing about this designer series paper. It is always so pretty. It matches both front and back. So whatever side you decide to use, the other piece will match. So now we can put this right here, and we can frame this around it, just like that. And now we need to cut our sentiment, our thank you, out of the designer series paper. So we can take and run this through our die cut machine using this beautiful thank you die. And this was just a thank you die that I had in my stash. So we're going to cut that out of this. And what I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off a piece of this, the size I need it, and I'm going to run that through the die cut machine, and we'll be right back. Then we can pop this up, because what I want to do is pop this up so that we have some dimension between these, and then pop this up around this so we have dimension between it. I'll put my dimensions on and show you what I'm talking about and get this cut out, and then we'll put it all together when we get back. Alrighty, I have the words cut out, the thank you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this Stampin' Up! Fine tip glue pen, and I am going to open that up, and I love the way it has that little pen built into it, and I'm just going to start doing some little dots. Oh, before I get started, let me grab my silicone mat, because if I don't, this is the little silicone craft mat, or craft sheet, I think is what they call it. This thing is so nice to have to put down on your work surface, because if you get glue on it, it's not going to mess up your craft area. So we're just going to put some glue along this And what's so nice about this is that precision tip lets that glue come out just where you need it. And then you can just lay your piece down into it and just hold it for a little bit. And you can leave this sit over here and it's not going to stick to your mat. And then you can just clean this up, you know, just wipe it off, a little baby wipe or whatever, and your glue comes up, and it's so nice. So here's the other one, and this is the Thank. And this has not been glued down. I did cut them together, so by cutting them together, they look like they're adhered. But I'm pretty sure they're not. And there we go. So again, I'm just going to come in and do the same thing. I'm going to put a good amount of glue all over this thank you, or this thank, the word thank. And this glue hopefully will give us time enough to come back and get this down. Okay. And now we just want to lay this right into the glue, giving us enough of wiggle room to get that lined up perfect. And that is beautiful. So again, I'm going to wipe that up. And I'm just going to leave this lay on here, and I'm going to lay it over here while we bring our card over. And see, we'd have had that glue all over our work surface if we had not used that silicone mat. So that worked out really good. I'm putting that pin back in that glue. We will come back to that glue in just a moment. And now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and adhere this to my card base. So I am going to use, since this is, okay, we are back, and what I have done is I've got my dimensionals on the side that I'm not using, and what we're going to do is we're going to take those backers off and we're going to stick this down. This is going to give us some dimension in our frame, and it's just going to help give this overall a better appearance, or at least in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I'm going to use a tape runner for this because I'm dealing with pattern paper here, and anytime you're dealing with pattern paper, you don't want to see the glue. And this, when I say paper, it's not cardstock, it is truly paper. So and this works well if you're just putting it down on a piece of cardstock. So, you know, if you have those papers, by all means use them, because sometimes some of our prettiest paper is just that, it's paper. So I am going to get this on here, giving myself that nice little border all the way around, and adhering that down just like I want it. And then the next thing I want to do is I cut some of these little flowers out so that I could pop them up. And I just took and put a little pop dot, a little dimensional right there. And I am going to situate this about like that, so it's right over top of that flower. And I have another one right here that I actually cut off. I held it up to my paper and I literally trimmed it so that it would look like it was coming off of the page, just like that. I thought that was just cute. And you know, it's the little things like that that we do with our cards and things that add so much to it. Now I'm going to put some tape on this as well. Just like that. And I want this to go down just like so. I want to get it centered as best I can, but I'm just eyeballing it. Like that. Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry for that interruption, but while I was away, I went ahead and glued this first one down, the one that I have put the sticky tape or the dimensionals on. So this first one, I just glued it directly down to the paper, and that allowed me to put this around here and get it on just where I wanted it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little picky tool, and I'm going to pick up these little pieces like so. Get these off of here. And then I'm going to take the smaller ones off. And one more. Just like that. And now we want to be very careful in putting this one down. This one, and I think I'm going to go this way with it because I'm going to put the thank you across here. And this side right here did not look like it embossed quite as deep as the bottom. So I want that bottom to show. And since we're covering up the top, we are going to put this down just like that. I'm not going to push it down yet. I'm just going to get it where I want it. Something like that. And then I'm going to press it to commit. And now we have this beautiful little frame. And you can frame so much with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the thank you. I'm going to put the you right there and the thank right here. Let's see, we could do this right here. I like it just like that. Maybe there. Yeah, I think I like that layout. So I am going to grab that precision tip glue again. And again, I'm going to grab out my little mat. And I'm going to take the thank, and I am going to put glue around, just dotting it. Just like that. And then I'm going to bring this over to my card, and I'm going to put that down right about there. Now once I get that in position, I'm just going to hold it. Hold it, hold it. You just want that to adhere where it needs to touch the paper. And a good rule of thumb, if you are afraid that that's not going to work, lay your little craft mat over it and then lay a block on it. That way it will not stick to this, but yet it will put enough of pressure against it to have it to adhere to your card itself. So that looks like that might have been enough to get it. Yep, that looked really good. So now we're going to do the same thing with the U, and I'm going to put this U right here in this little bit of glue, because you know that might be enough and we don't even have to use any more. Doesn't feel quite sticky enough, so maybe a couple of more dots. And we're going to put this right here. And again, you might want to do the same thing with this. You may want to use your little craft mat and just lay it over it and just lay a block on it, so that will help it to adhere, you know, until it actually sticks down. And sometimes it takes a few minutes for that to happen. Other times it's like immediate. So that looks really good. Oh, I love it. Is that not a cute card? Look at the dimension. I love that. Alright, so all we need to do now is just grab a piece of Whisper White, and we are going to put an inside for our card. So we're going to need to cut a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. 4 by 5 1/4. And now this can be our mat for the inside. But what we need to do is we need to decide what sentiment we want to put on the inside. And I love doing a sentiment on the inside of my cards. So I'm going to grab a stamp set that has a good sentiment for a thank you card, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and I grabbed Flourishing Phrases. I love the stamp set. I have my dies on order for this, and I have something in mind that I want to bring once I get my dies. But for right now, I am going to use this sentiment right here. Words can't express just how deeply your love and support has been appreciated. I think that is beautiful for the inside of a card. And that is what we are going to use. And that is this one right here. And I am going to stamp that in. I don't know if I want to go with that Flirty Flamingo or if I want to go with, I think we're going to do the Flirty Flamingo. I love this pink. I think it'll be very pretty inside this card. And I'm not too sure. Nah, I'm just going to do the sentiment. I think the sentiment says it all. And I think I'll go with, maybe we'll go with, hang on just a minute. Okay. I think I'm going to do the thank you so much because I think it needs something inside that says thank you so much. Words cannot express just how deeply. I think I'm going to put this one up to the top and then this one kind of offset right here. Or do I want to go directly under? I think directly under. And I'm going to grab a stamp block that is large enough. A little bit bigger than that one. So let's go with this one. And I want to make sure that these are nice and straight. I think that's good right there. So now I'm going to bring my ink over and I am going to tap, and I always like to stamp off on something else. So let me grab a scrap. I'm going to use this little scrap of paper right here. And I'm going to just stamp that to see if it is picked up the ink good. It needs to be a little bit brighter. So I think that's pretty right there. So I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Get that inked up really good. And then I'm going to bring it to my card. I don't want to wiggle or anything. I just want to put it down. Press it straight down. And up. I love it. That is beautiful. Yep, and I love that soft pink. I think with the boldness of the navy, Night of Navy. I think this is like the perfect soft inside for this. And we are going to put that down right about there. And I think for this I'm just going to use some liquid glue. Now, if you've noticed as I've gone through making this card, I have listed all the products on the screen. Those products and numbers will also be listed in the description box below. So if you didn't catch them on the screen, don't worry. You don't have to go back and try to write down everything there. I will list everything in the description. Just remember to go at the video where it says show more. Click that little drop down and everything will be right there for you. So all my dimensions, everything I used, and everything will be right there. I like to try to make it easy for everyone, and I like to make crafting fun. So that's the reason that I do this, is I enjoy sharing my ideas, and I enjoy, I just enjoy making cards, and I also enjoy being here with all of you. I love you and I cherish you, and I thank you so much for taking your time to come over and watch my video and spend a little time with me. You all mean so much to me. I love you, and as I always say in closing, let everything you do and say bring glory to our Lord and Savior. Until we craft again, I love you. Bye-bye.